Hi there, my name is Danny, and I guess today we're going to be talking about creepy stories. So, I'll start off with, I have a child who is now 11, but a few years ago, she was seeing things that other people don't see, like people, ghosts I guess you would call them. And she came to us talking about a guy named Billy. And I said, well, go to bed. And she says, well, I don't want to, because every time I try to sleep, he pulls my hair and picks my arms up and pulls at my feet. And then she proceeds to tell my husband and I that he made her dream that he burnt our faces off while we slept and made her watch. So, she's been seeing these things since she was able to talk, telling me about, you know, stuff like that. Well, we told Billy to go away, and when we told Billy to go away, we haven't heard from Billy anymore. Now, I've had a personal experiences myself with ghosts. That's, you know, whatever you want to call them, ghost spirits, whatever. I was a teenager and I was at home by myself. And I was sitting by the front door playing with my dad's like record player and stuff. And to my left was a hallway where my brother's room and my mom's room was. Well, I saw something out the corner of my eye, and then when I turned around and looked, there was a man coming out of my brother's room. And he was like solid, but I could see through him. And he was wearing a brown suit, and he had short black hair and a mustache. So he was walking towards my mom's room and turned around and smiled at me and then was gone. So of course I was a little freaked out. I got up and I sat down in the chair, and there was the entry to the kitchen, and I feel this wind like come by me. And then my hand was sitting on the arm of the chair, and it started to raise up slowly and like fold under, like somebody was trying to hold my hand. And that's when I was like, peace out, I'm out of here, I didn't know what the hell I was dealing with. Then when I told my mom the story, she tells me that I have not met my real father ever. But she tells me that what I described sounded like what my real father looked like. He wore a brown tux to their prom, and he had a mustache and short black hair. So, you know, and then I used to wake up in the middle of the night and see a shadow standing over me. So like, I guess after she told me that, it all makes sense. Maybe he's dead and is like looking after me. I don't know. I don't know nothing about him. So yeah, that was pretty creepy. And I could go on and on about stories. One more, I'll tell you one more, and then I'll let these guys tell you their creepy stories. I have a 3-year-old, and my sister was staying here at the time, and she has a 3-year-old also, but they were probably 1.5 at the time. And my nephew would wake up screaming about the scary man is in here, the scary man is in here, in the room he was sleeping in. And then one night, me and my husband were laying in the bed, and our daughter was in our room sleeping, and she wakes up and says, "What are you doing here?" Like, plain as day, out of nowhere, just wakes up and says, "What are you doing here?" And that was like creepy as hell, because my stepfather passed away 3 years ago, right around the time that, you know, They were babies, but so we think maybe it was my stepdad or my grandfather, I don't know, looking out after him, but it really freaked my nephew out. Not my daughter so much. So that was pretty creepy as well. So I guess those are my stories. Like I said, I have more, but I'm gonna let these guys talk. So,
alright. Hey guys, Zombie here. And I've got a couple creepy stories happening to me. Just some stuff that I can't really explain to like rational extent. So my stories start when I had just recently broke off a relationship with my ex at the time that this took place, and had gotten a place, a new apartment that I was staying in by myself. And I haven't, up to that point, I hadn't lived by myself at all the whole time. As soon as I, moved out of my mom's house to go to college, I was living with my sister. Then I moved in with my girlfriend at the time, broke it off with her, to get this apartment by myself. And there's several nights, man, I would think I saw something or heard something, shadows or whatever. And of course, being like any other normal person, I just chalked it off to being like, you clearly just caught something out of the corner of your eye. You didn't know what it was, so your mind started wandering, but it's really just something in the room that can be explained. So I never really paid much attention to it until one night, I was sleeping or trying to sleep, and on the wall, I swear to you, I saw a shadow, and the shadow looked like a female with long hair, like a person with long hair. Female is what it seemed like to me. And I was looking around, at the available light source and what could have been casting the shadow, and there was nothing there that could have cast that shadow. It looked like that. My room was wide open. There wasn't much in there because I didn't have much, and everything was always put away. It was a wide open space. So I don't know what could have made that shadow. It looked like a female. At the same time, I was hearing what sounded like little whisperings or something that I couldn't really make out what was being said. So kind of together, I was just painted this picture of a female spirit, maybe. I don't know. But fast forward a little bit, my buddy from high school, he needed a place to stay for a little while, and I let him move in with me in the apartment. I was by myself anyways, and I kept my apartment really, really clean all the time, man. Like, stuff was always clean every day. And he was a little different. He had, he didn't mind if it was a little messy, and I tried to clean him up after him, but it was exhausting. Anyways, I think they're done. Okay, so there was a mess all over the floor, his stuff, just his junk. He just threw everywhere. He had a backpack and some other stuff. So one night he's out partying, because that's what he did, and I was sleeping because I had to work early, or go to school and then work, whatever the case was. But I was laying there, and I swear I thought I saw something out of the corner of my eye once again, just like something that may or may not have been there. And I scan the room and I see all this shit everywhere, so I'm like, okay, he's just it's just something of his that I saw. And the next instant, that object I saw at my front door went from my front door to the foot of my bed in an instant, really fast. Looked like something was crawling even, and it freaked me out because there's no way to explain it. There's nothing moving in the house. I don't own an animal at that time, so of course it freaked me out. There's nothing I had in the room that would move on its own. And I know I didn't just think something moved, like I saw something move, but I couldn't figure out what it was, So fast forward a little bit further, my roommate moved out, and I started seeing who's, now my wife, Danielle, Miss Danny, and you know, at the time we were just friends, and she came over to my place to stay the night. And during that night, I was sitting down on the computer making some music, and she was sitting on my bed next to me. And we hear a growl. And when I say growl, it's hard to explain because, you know, I had neighbors next to me, below me, and any one of them could have had an animal that could have made that noise, I know. And I had a fridge in the kitchen that could have cut on and made that noise. But I'm telling you, believe me when I say that the growl did not sound like anything that an animal that I knew of could make, or at least an animal that would be there in the apartment. And it definitely didn't sound like a fridge cutting on, you know. So I don't know what it was, but it freaked out Danielle enough that she didn't want to come back to my place again. Period. And it freaked me out enough where I was, you know, those 3 different instances that I almost feel like were connected, you know. It was enough for me to not want to stay in that apartment either. Because so we got, you know, I saw what looked like a female. And at that time I didn't feel threatened about anything. That was the very first time, right? The shadow on the wall. Didn't feel threatened at all, just saw a female's face. Or the side profile with long hair. Second time, the thing crawls really quick to me. Of course, yeah, that freaked me out. And the third time, there's a growl, you know, and I had Danielle in the apartment. And yeah, that was enough, man. I don't know the reason for it. I, you know, didn't try any seances or anything crazy to figure it out, but yeah. So, you know, obviously, some of the creepy stories that Danny had to offer, I went through too because I live in the house with her. So instead of saying the same thing over, I'm just gonna hand it over to Swerve here.
Alright, so I don't really have a lot of crazy stories at the moment, but I do have only one. Let's see, one particular time whenever I was 4, I came back from Disney World with my parents down from Florida. And I came back home with a doll that wasn't much bigger than me. Or no, not bigger than me, not much smaller than me. But yeah, it was one of those big talking dolls with a cassette player in the back, so it would like mimic everything that would come out of it. So you can, you know, stick a Journey song in it, and it would sing the Journey song to it, you know. And that's the way you want. I mean, you know, I don't know. I'm sorry to digress, but one night whenever I was sleeping with that doll, I was dreaming that, you know, me and the doll were having a conversation. Not really sure what, you know, what a 4-year-old want to talk to Mickey about, but you know. Anyway, the doll ended up, you know, I ended up like saying I was sleepy, and like Mickey said that he wanted to play, so I ended up, you know, laying down. He ended up carrying me like down the stairs. And mind you, I have no history of sleepwalking at all. I've never sleepwalked before or after this point. And maybe that's kind of like what I'm trying to convince myself today, that, you know, that's what it was. But I don't understand how I ended up from my bedroom, which I fell asleep in, and I'm sure I fell asleep in my bedroom. But the doll carried me down the stairs, and I ended up like in my game room, which is like, you know, almost like the entrance where there's like, you know, a pool table to the left and kitchen straight ahead, and that was, you know, the door is like right there, sliding glass door with blinds, you know, covering it, everything. But I was in the center of the floor, and with the doll sitting by me, and my mom came in the room the next morning and asked me how I got there, and I just told her I didn't know, and I still have the doll. I mean, it's locked away in my attic. I mean, I gotta keep it locked up. No. It is its eyes can move too, so like whenever, you know, it shuts off or whenever it stops, it gets to the end of a tape or something, the eyes will close and open. So it's very delicately automated. Yeah, I'll bring it one day and or I'll take a picture of it and post it for you. But yeah, that's the end, and this is Swerve, Zombie, and Miss Danny out.